Welcome to The Family Business, a podcast about football and life from the perspective of a coach and his daughter. I'm Stephanie Turner. I'm here with my dad, Norv. Now, I'm a low energy type of girl. You know, I like to keep things pretty calm, pretty cool. But I've got to get a little hyped for this one because our guest today brings some energy to a room. He is a dear friend of the family, a Hall of Fame wide receiver, the playmaker himself, Michael Irvin. Hey, Mike, how are you?
I'm doing great. You know, just so great to see you guys, you know, and to see Coach and you, Steph. I mean, I'm excited to be here and excited to get a chance to catch up. Catch up with everything. Because, Coach, you know, Troy and I tell you all the time, well, everybody, we all tell you, it all happened when Coach got there. That's it. This dude right here is the one dude I say, when they talk about the players, we always give them all the credit, especially for moving our offense. You know what I mean? And so I could tell you, I say this stuff. There are a few people in my life, and no joke, Coach, that I will call and say to myself, because I measurement and distance travel. When I look at where I started and where I happen to get to and where I'm still trying to go to, you think about the few people in your life that I call the miracles on my journey. If this guy wasn't there, you would be where you are. And that's what Norv Turner is to me. He's that miracle on my journey. And Coach, you know I love you to death. I love you to life. Let me say it the right way, because Deion.
Well, you know that goes both ways, and it was a perfect storm. My opportunity to come in there, and obviously with Coach Johnson. I mean, he's as good as there is, and then this group was ready to take off. You know, it was ready to go, and hungry, and an attitude. You know, I knew when I got there, but the thing I knew about you, I knew from before that. And
we got to say, I heard this story for the first time because we were talking about having you on, and we said, okay, what stories are we going to tell? What are we going to say? And my dad said, well, I got to tell the story about the first time I met him. And I said, oh, well, in Dallas, right? He goes, no, that wasn't the first time I met him.
Right.
And I said, well, what's that story? And I don't know if you remember this, Michael, but you got to tell it.
Well, Ernie.
What? Of course I remember it. Wait a minute. Of course I remember it.
Ernie Ernie Zampese was the coordinator in the past, you know, all the guru from Chargers and all that with the Rams. And we were going to draft. We had 4 picks in the first 2 rounds, and we were going to draft a receiver. I just looked at the 88 draft, and what we should have done is put the 2 ones together and moved up in front of Dallas and got you, but the Rams weren't that creative. So Ernie and I went on a tour, and we went and saw 5 or 6 receivers, but we come to Miami, and you know what's coming. Ernie's got his velour sweats on. Anyone who knows Ernie, it's March, it's hot. I mean, people are just sweating in South Beach, and we're, you know, and Ernie's got his sweats on, and we're going to work Mike out. And who was the quarterback? Who threw? Did Steve Walsh throw for that workout? It doesn't matter. I was just trying to test my memory.
That was Steve.
But
it was Steve.
Mike had this big chain, gold chain, the thickest gold chain. And, you know, I'd been married and coaching in the NFL, but I wasn't buying my wife a chain like that, or she had some nice jewelry. But this is and he says, will you hold this during the workout? And I grab it, and my hand drops down a little bit. So I put it in my sweats, and then I obviously took my sweats off and all that. And the workout I don't remember how long it was, but I know based on Ernie, it didn't take long because he didn't need to see a lot to know that this is a guy, you know. Yeah. I mean, we don't need to waste anyone's time. This, you know, we've seen enough. He's going to catch everything and run the routes, and we'd seen all the film, 47 running up and down the field. And so we get to the airport, and I I had put my sweats in a bag or something. I put it out to put it on, and here's this gold chain sitting in my sweat top, and I got to get on the airplane. So we got it done. I forget if we used Federal Express or how we insured it.
You had to bring the gold chain back to LA, then contact University of Miami athletic department, say, hey, I got Michael's gold chain. Can we ship it back?
Yeah.
Right. And Steph, you got to understand too, man, I was just, at that time, this gold chain was nothing. I was working for, this is my opportunity.
Right.
I want to work out for these guys. And I thought, you got to go back. I graduated after my junior year so I can control the draft, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that's why, Green Bay called me with the 7th pick. But since I was a junior and I officially graduated, I said no, I could say no to a team. And if a team draft me, I drop a class, go back to school, they would lose their draft pick and I would apply for a supplemental draft. So I'm already directed. I'm going to get to LA. This is because Norv was with me right before the draft.
Mm-hmm.
And we were talking about running that 4 route. And I was looking at Henry Eller and all that, running that deep in, that deep out. I was like, oh my God, this is perfect, right? Mm-hmm. So then I go talk to Jimmy. And Jimmy actually says to me, he says, I know what you're doing with the draft. I understand. I know you want to control your destination. And he says to me, Dallas is going to draft you. Dallas is going to draft you. He said, I don't want you trying any of that shenanigans stuff with Dallas because I'll join you. I may be joining you next year because my friend is about to buy the Cowboys. Now, I wanted to go with Norv. I wanted to go with Norv. Nobody ever knew this. And then after 2 years in Dallas, Jimmy and the offensive coordinator who we had, I don't even want to mention his name, was coming up with a plan to actually trade me because I had gotten hurt trying to come back off a knee injury. And they were like, Michael has value. We should trade him right now. And then Jimmy came to me later on and said, Michael, I'll never forget this. He said, this guy wants me to trade you. He said, I told him, I'm not going to trade you. I'm going to get rid of him and get somebody in here that can get you the ball. And then he hired Norv. I was like, oh my God, I'm getting him anyway. I was trying to get to him when he was in LA, when he was with the Rams. I was trying to get to him. And then he came. And I'll say this, Coach, because you got to imagine, I had already gone through all kinds of depression. Remember, Coach, coming back from that knee surgery? Yeah. And I had to go have another knee surgery and try to get it back because I was going through it in my head. And Coach came in. We went out to run routes. It was late February, early March.
It was March. It was in March.
Football field practicing nowhere. We were out running routes. And I'll never forget this because I was in a place, with my own self and my confidence and trying to work back. And after that first day of running routes, we were walking back in and Coach looked at me. He said, what is everybody talking about, man? That knee looks fine. You look plenty fast to me. Let's get ready to play. And that was that. That was that. That did everything for me, knowing that Coach went and got a guy that believed in me. And I thought it was fate that we should have been together in the first place. So I just
amazing to think about, like how those dots connected. You think like, what was at play there? Like, was that destiny? Was that fate that you met, you had this thing, you liked what he did, he saw something in you. It didn't happen in that moment in LA. All those other things came into place. You had a reason to go to Dallas. Like just looking at that from, hindsight and the bigger picture, it's pretty amazing to think that it all came together that way.
Yeah,
and that's why I call it the miracle.
Plus, there's a backstory in all this because a lot of things happened for me to end up there, and then all the things happen, and it's the backstory is pretty darn interesting. It's just a long one, but the one thing Mike said to me when we went out there, and I think it was late March to throw routes against Dare, and Troy was anxious to get going. And I know Mike looked at me and says, we're running routes in March. I said, we won't do this very often. It's just, let's just do it so we can, get started. And then Mike walks out and the cameraman is in the tower and he looks at me, you're filming this? I said, Mike, you'll never run a route on this field without someone filming it because I like to watch tape and I'm going to watch it. And then the story after all our first year off season and we're going to training camp, we'd taken all the off season work and made the cut-ups. And these guys had been watching Henry Ellard and Flipper Anderson and Aaron Cox and we had a good crew at the Rams. It was a different style of guys. And Mike said, I'm so tired of watching the Ram tape. I'm glad we got some tape of ourselves now to watch. So that's what we used during training camp. Mike likes to watch himself. I don't know if anyone understands that.
Coach, but now, I'm going to tell you something, though. Boy, I remember watching so much of Henry Ellard. Nobody ran that 5 route like Henry Ellard. Henry Ellard was, and I was a bigger guy, so I didn't even block people off. But, man, nobody came in and out of that route like Henry Ellard, man. And I was dreaming about, I said, man, if I could just play like this right here. And in that offense, it was, and the best part about that offense was, for me, it's like, okay, Norv always wanted us to play fast. You got to play fast. So it's a number system. We go in, it's got right 4.8, 4.96. You get the play right now. The one thing I learned early on was if I'm leaving the huddle thinking about what route do I run, I've already lost. You got to lead a huddle thinking, how do I win on the route? As soon as I hear it, I got to know what I'm doing. And then how do I win on the route? The walk from the huddle to the line of scrimmage has to be, how do I win on this route? It could never be, what route do I have? And when we simplified that thing, we started moving. And Norv was a genius, man. Norv was just a genius.
There's something about giving the guys the best chance to do what they do best. You've heard me say that a million times. But I watch these guys now, and they got 3 plays called. They're tapping their helmet to tell them, check to this or that. And it's just what you just said. All of a sudden, I've got to crack the safety, but he checked to a pass where I'm running a speed cut out or a post route, and now you're thinking about your stance, you're thinking about the cadence. Sometimes that's why I used to say, hey, let's just go up and go on second down, get them to snap the ball. So
let's go.
Everyone knows what to do. Let's go. And there's a place for some of the check with maze. There's a place for some of these change the play at line of scrimmage, but there's a place for going out and just beating them too. And that's, to me, what's lacking a little bit in the NFL now in terms of in the passing game. Everyone's trying to be so perfect. And honestly, in the running game, sometimes you just give the back the ball. We used to tell Emmett, we can't block the safety. You got him. And the safety missed a lot with Emmett.
Yeah, it was a different dude, Coach. But you're right, Coach. Now this NFL is more system-beating system. You're designing plays to trick people as opposed to just saying, let a man go beat a man. It's a different game in that sense now when I watch the game. And I guess it's because a lot of it, Coach, and Steph, is because they've taken the vicious hits out the game.
Yeah.
There was such a requirement to be exact when you had those hits in the game. I remember running a bang 8, which is a 4-step slant route. And oh God, I'll never forget bang 8 it's a bang bang hit play. I'm going to go 4 steps. I'm going to run that slant. Me and that safety, we're going to run into each other. That's why they call it a bang 8. It's going to be bang bang. So we got.
You took a few of those for about 40 yards.
Right. I would take them, but it was so funny.
Everyone talks about a receiver worried about getting hit. When you ran those bang 8s, those safeties were worried about getting hit too. They said, "Here comes this big son of a gun coming at me, and he's got the ball." and I got to tackle them. That's something.
I'm gonna tell you what I remember about it. One time something had happened. I went to the sideline, and I guess Kmart came in and covered me, and we had a bang 8 call. And I remember you saying, "No timeout. We're gonna get Kelvin killed. Get Michael in there." What do you mean? How you going? He's like, get Kevin out of here. He can't run that bang 8. We're going to get him killed. Get Michael in there. I'm like, what do you mean?
I don't think. I think you're making that up.
But no, coach, I don't give anybody a chance to run a route. You know what I mean? I'm running anytime Troy throws, I go. I wasn't letting them have an opportunity to see that he could connect with anybody as well as he connect with me. And that's what I thought you were talking about also, Coach. I see that a lot in the NFL now. Guys run a route, run 2 routes, and then they tap their heads to come out of the game. And I'm like, Are you joking? Do this 3rd down. Dude, listen, there's no way you can play football with me and play receiver, and I see you tap your helmet to come out of the game on 3rd down. I'm going to take you to the locker room, take your hands off, and tell you can go home. We'll never have you. We'll never have you.
Yeah. So what do you think there's a difference? Obviously there's a difference from when you played and the receivers today, but you think that it's one, the rules have changed. Those big hits are not allowed. There's different rules around that. But do you think that's like softened guys too, to where they just won't put themselves on the line in the same way?
Well, all of it. And the best part of football is about fighting. It's about what kind of fight do you have in you. Everybody always thinks it's about a great skill. Mm-hmm. But ultimately, it's going to be about, like what Coach Johnson always talk about, our collective will. You know, are we going to make the commitment to do our part, to do what we have to do? And in every game, that's a fight with your inner man. You know what I'm saying? And you got to come out and say, no, we're not losing this game. Let's go. We're going to get this going. What I think has happened is we're seeing these are the kids that everybody that came out with everybody get a trophy. Mm-hmm. And then those everybody get a trophy kids go to NIL deals. So now if you're second team, I don't want to stay here and fight for the starting job. I'll just leave and go to another school and get me a new NIL deal and leave and start over there. That's what has happened. Mm-hmm. I mean, we've taken fight out of them as kids, and then we've taken fight out of them at that level, and then they get to the NFL, and I guess they leave on 3rd down. I just cannot understand that. Norv could not send somebody in talking about go get Michael on 3rd down. we would have Armageddon in this hole. Are you joking? You know, Coach knows, man. Coach knows. Yeah,
and I think, and one thing we talk about with this your Dallas team is how much you guys all loved each other, how much you wanted to win for each other. How close you all were, how the family feeling that the team had. And we felt it as the family too. I mean, we looked at you guys as our cool older brothers that were, had tags on your hats and whatever the style, like we wanted to do whatever you guys did and admired you guys so much. But I think that to me from the outside, it feels rare in the NFL now, that camaraderie, that closeness that those teams used to have of like, we will fight with each other. Right.
Yeah. And I think that's why you see pretty much the same teams finishing the year with a chance to go to the playoffs, with a chance to go to the Super Bowl. The teams that can create that, obviously Andy Reid's done it in Kansas City, and they have a talented group. They're doing it in Buffalo. They're doing it. Shane Steichen now, who worked for me in San Diego, they got to start doing it in Indianapolis. And if you can build that mentality that we're talking about, you got one up on 20 of the teams anyway, because there's a bunch of these teams that the guy doesn't want to go over the middle and get the ball, or they don't want to do the extra things you have to do. It's a sacrifice. We all know it is. It's extra things you have to do to be successful.
But Steph, I appreciate you bringing that up and acknowledging it, because that was very important. I mean, whenever anyone family came around, it was important for all of us as players to make everybody feel like family, because we were that close to each other, and it really was. It was just a great moment. I always take that and say, football teams and football organizations don't ever win a championship. Only football families do. Because even winning that championship, there are peaks and valleys in the season. And you can handle the peaks if you're a team and organization, but you don't handle the valleys real well. You go in the valleys and come apart. Football families goes in the valleys and come closer together and come out better on the other side and go on winning championships. Just like Coach just mentioned, when they talk about the Chiefs aren't doing this, the Chiefs aren't doing that, they go in that valley, come together, and they come out better actually on the other side, because they are a football family, and that makes a huge difference.
Yeah.
Well, it's Stephanie and I are talking about this story. She's heard me tell it before. I don't know if you've heard me tell it. You'll remember it. And it gives me that thing about family, because you came in, we're playing Atlanta on a Monday night. We had lost a game we should have won to Washington, so things were tense, but
Right.
There was a lot of confidence in our team, and it was a Monday night game, so everything's pushed back a day. And I think it was probably Friday morning. It might have been Saturday morning. Mike comes in to talk to me like we're two old friends or something. Hey, Norv, I got to talk to you. I said, what's going on? I go, what? He goes, I talked to Deion last night. And I said, what? What are you talking to him about? And Jimmy used to tell the coaches, if you talk to somebody, make sure you're getting 80% of the information and giving 20, not the other way. He used to tell Butch Davis that, no, don't be giving all our secrets to get one. So Mike says, I talked to Deion, and he says, it's me and him. I said, what? He goes, he's going to shadow me. It's me and him all game. We're doing it. And it was Jerry Glanville, the Blitz Grits, the team, they blitz and everything. And I go, wait a minute. What'd he say? And we go through it. And it's a little thing. I've told this story 100 times to teams I've coached since then, because one little thing can make such a big difference. And we went through our first 15 plays. We went through our game plan and moved you around more than we normally would do. And there were certain things, like Deion didn't like pressing when he was the outside corner. When Mike was the outside receiver in slot, he didn't want to press. So we put in a 5 right out there. We did a 5 pump where you stuttered, ran it, and then came back, ran a deep end right over there. And then with Alvin, the corner over there was Tim McIver. I'd coached against forever with the 49ers when I was with the Rams. So we put a couple slants in and some 9-stop, a quick route to Alvin, because McIver would play off and bail and give you a lot of room. And we scored the first couple of drives. I don't remember exactly how it was, but you ended up catching 7 or 8 balls on Deion. It wasn't so much it was all pressed up or anything. It was just we moved you around, and they're getting lined up, and it was some things they hadn't seen. And
because of that phone call, that comment, him talking to you, you got that edge. You got the piece of information that you could, adjust and accommodate.
And I honestly, I've told so many players that story. It may seem innocent. You're telling your agent, hey, we're going to open up with a deep post. Well, your agent's also the agent of the other team's cornerback, or the defensive coordinator. Right. That's we don't need to
just keep your mouth shut,
advertise. But it was it's crazy that stuff like that happens during a season. And the other story I'd love to tell, and Mike knows this one. We'd meet we had the team meeting room for the offense. And we're going through the scouting report and all this, and we're getting ready to play the Redskins. They were undefeated. It was 91. It was our first year together. And I said, okay, they got this corner now. We've been coaching against them when we were at the Rams for quite a while. Everyone tells me he's the best corner in the league, and he's going to match up with Mike. So, Mike, we're going to find out on Sunday how good this guy really is, aren't we? And Mike, look, he swelled up, and I thought, oh my God, he's not going to make it till Sunday. He was so fired up about it. And he ends up going in there and catching 8 balls for 170 yards. And Troy got knocked out of the game early in the third quarter, and Berline went in there, and it was perfect because Berline throw it behind him. He could stop and spin and get it and go score.
Right.
You know?
On that bang eight, I scored on that same bang eight. Berline came in. I remember, oh my God, when Berline came in that game, I was like, hey, and Berline was his last year under his deal. So this was kind of like, boy, this is a blessing. You get to play right now, and you get a new contract. I said, hey, Berline, I said, listen, you want this NFL, man, you want a new contract coming up, right? You got to just throw me the damn ball. Just throw me the ball. Get that new ball, make it.
See, I was in the box, and I wasn't privy to these conversations. But Bernie Kosar told me he had gotten cut in Cleveland, and I think he threw it where he wanted to one too many times, and Troy got knocked out in the championship game, and Bernie goes, and Bernie, I talked to Bernie after the game. He says, yeah. Mike's telling me, just throw me the ball. Bernie, just throw it to me. And Bernie says, that's how I ended up in Dallas, just throwing it to where I wanted to. I mean, they cut my ass for that. I like it here. I'm going to do what the coach says.
And he went backside to Harper for a game winner. And Hart caught the ball and went running. I went to Bernie and said, don't ever do that choke again. Would you ever do that again? I was like, I'm gonna get you out of here if you ever do that again. But the one thing I love about Norv, I would come to Norv and I was like, hey man, we're playing this guy, man. We got to go out. Norv's like, I can't let them. He would tell me, I can never let them think that we will allow them to take you out of the game. Because that cripples us. So you're going to get your shots. Just get ready. I was like, okay, that's all I need to hear. Okay, coach, I'm good with that. You know what I mean? Because other teams would stay away from those guys. When they come line up, they don't even throw at Darryl Green, or they don't even throw at Deion Sanders. And we were like, we're not doing this. We're not doing it.
Yeah, it was going to be a battle. Yeah. It wasn't going to be let's shy away because this guy is great or people don't throw to him. It's like, no, we're going to throw right there and we're going to win.
Well, it all ties together. Obviously, we became a very good pass protecting offensive line, but Troy took care of you guys. He wasn't going to throw it in there and get someone knocked out. And then if he had to throw it on your back shoulder, one of the clips they showed on that Cowboy show they did, America's Game or whatever, you were talking about it, and I love seeing it, but the 49ers turned the ball over, and we had, in the red zone, we had a 2 tight end formation with Jay in motion, and they always dropped the safety down hard, so it was a great shot to throw an 8 route. And you're talking about it, and the safety played further over than he should have. But you trusted Troy, and you went in there and went up big and caught it between your numbers. And you in the clip, you say, I knew they were coming, but I was not going to let them get that ball out. And it got us started in the game. But those are the type of plays you have to make.
And we were coached before that game. That's what we were at, such a mental place. You remember that first practice we had at UCLA, that first, oh my God, for that Super Bowl. I had never seen a perfect practice like that. That was after this game. Yeah. I had never seen where we had such a perfect practice. And going into that San Fran game, we wanted to win that game so badly. I read that first bang 8 that he hit me with down on the corner. And I tell people this all the time. I said, Troy don't get enough credit for how perfect of a pass he threw. and that ball was be flying through the air, and it just stops and say, "Go ahead and catch me. I'm right here." And I grabbed the thing, right? And the dude that, because it's a bang eight. As soon as I caught it, he hit me. Bam! I spun around all the way around, then hit the ground. I said, even if I would have gotten knocked out, I wasn't letting that ball go. As they carted me off, got my arm coming out from under the cheek saying, "First down," and they were taking me into the locker room. We were just so, we played a different way. I mean, that timing of our passing game was incredible.
Mm-hmm. And it's, the credit is people that came and watched us practice. And if it was for the Super Bowl at UCLA, you're talking about Dick Enberg came in and he said to me, "Are you afraid you're going to leave it out here on the field?" He was there for a Wednesday practice. I said, "Hey, Dick, this is the way our guys have practiced all year. I mean, this is what we do. We get out there and guys come off the ball and run and we put people on the ground and the offensive line works on getting better and finishing blocks and that's just the way these guys go about their job and that effort. And we used to talk about it. It's stop the tape at 10 yards and see who was first. Who was it was,
right.
And they'd be going, wait, he's off the ball. No, he's a tight end. I mean, he shouldn't beat you. And you'd beat Alvin by 2 steps, and Alvin would be, "Well, I'm off the ball, and I this." I said, "Alvin, come on, just get going." But
we actually did that in meetings. We're looking like we're track stars. We're seeing who gets off that ball quicker.
Right.
How far down the field are you? That's a heart, man. I'm 2 yards in front of you, man. You're supposed to be the speedster route. Michael, you on the field. You on the ball. You're a yard ahead of me. I said, well, you need to tighten up on that offensive line, on the line of scrimmage. I mean, Coach, those 2 minute, when we did a 2-minute drill on Friday, dude, some of the game 2-minute drills aren't as hard as our 2-minute drills in practice. And Coach would always say, let's get that first down. Get that first down.
That's what we had. We had Dave, we had Coach Wanstead on, and that we were talking about that, and they said, remember those 2-minute drills? They were like wars. It was just like, I mean, it was like it was a game.
Well, it got to the point. It got to the point because you go against your own team, and I called a comeback. 585 was the call to Mike to start, and Larry Brown. They go against each other 25 times a day in practice. They hear the audibles and everything. So I hear Troy going 85 for the throw the comeback, and we just called it in huddle. What's he doing? And he and Mike got together. Troy and Mike got together, and Mike ran a stutter go. He stuttered at about 12 and ran the go route. And Larry Brown was covering that comeback. And I'm going, this is Thursday practice, and we're tricking our defense. So we score in one play, and everyone runs off the field. It usually would be 8 or 10 plays. And then later I found out, I don't know who instigated this, but I know that thinking of who it was in the defensive line, but I know there's some money being wagered on if the defense was going to stop them or if the offense was going to score. And I don't know how much money, but I know you guys weren't betting $10, that's for sure. But that made those Thursday practices a lot more exciting.
Yeah, we had some great ones, man. Oh my God, those 2-minute drills were the best. They were the best. They really were. They were the best. And then, I mean, we went so the games, and this came with us, and Jimmy used to do this in Miami. We had the mentality that the games are the fun. The practice is the work. And if we work hard, the games are going to be the fun part. Mm-hmm. And mostly it did work out that way.
Mm-hmm. My mom reminded us of a story that going back to, us being a family and how close we felt as kids to you guys and how much a part of the team we felt that we were. So I think it was before a playoff game, I wrote a letter to you. I don't know why. I don't really remember.
You
but
remember this?
I I decided I wanted to write a letter. I said, Dad, can you give this letter to Michael for the game? And I don't know, I wrote something wishing you good luck or, so complimenting you on the last game or something. And so my dad took it to work. I'm thinking, 8 years old. Oh yeah, he's going to give it to Michael. And then you can say what happened with the letter.
Well, she gives me this letter. I mean, I dug deep to recall this. I mean, I've been a lot of brain cells going in 40 years of coaching in the NFL, but I get the letter and it's really well written and nice, and it's to Mike. So I obviously going to read it to the whole offense because it's kind of motivational. And then I start throwing a few F-bombs in it and this and we, and none of this, whatever she would never have said.
Yeah, like my 8-year-old daughter wrote this letter to Mike. I'm going to read it to you guys. And then he's like, hey, Mike, make sure you catch the effing ball on the slant route, like dropping all these expletives, and the team is laughing. And
yeah, and that's the type of thing. Steph always was involved. Steph, for many years, put my game plan sheet together after we had typed it out and done everything. We had
I'd cut it,
manila folder, and she'd cut it and put it,
tape it on, get it ready for the game.
Yeah,
put the play sheet together, and that's why when she said, when you brought up that you felt the family emotions, that was intentional. You know what I mean? That means something. How can you either play football? Because we were more than just teammates. We were great friends. We considered each other all family. And that means we extend the family. So, your families come in, stuff, you guys come in, you want to take pictures. Hey, let's get family pictures. All families get the pictures they want.
Right.
You know what I mean? Because it all, man, it was just such a great time. And Coach, I remember when you telling me, and you said, I think you were getting ready to go take a head coaching job somewhere. You said, hey, don't take this for granted. They may never see anything like this again around here. This stuff doesn't happen. You don't win like this. It's so hard. And I don't think I really understood what you were saying. Now I look back, I can get an understanding what you were saying, but you had been around the league. You said, this, Michael, this doesn't happen. We don't get this kind of team with these kind of guys and everybody on the same page, this kind of closeness. It just doesn't happen often in the NFL. And that's something I've never forgotten.
Yeah, and unfortunately, things get in the way from keeping it happening. I'm not going to
right.
Recount the things that happened, but obviously, the guy who set the tempo at all times was Coach Johnson, and he had such a great feel for the team. He knew when to be a hard ass. He knew when to love you guys up. He knew how to take care of you when he needed to and be tough. And that's what he said to me after the first Super Bowl. He goes, next year, he goes, we're going to have to push these guys. We're going to have to grind, because you look at the teams that have done it back-to-back years, there aren't very many. And there's times it's going to be hard on them. It's going to be hard on me, but I'm going to have to do what I got to do. And I say, hey, that's what everyone wants. And if we're all ourselves and go, and that year, we had a lot of things that could have gotten our way from winning, and we just didn't let them. Whatever those things were, we didn't let them. So that's part of navigating the NFL. Guys that get too depressed when you're struggling and get too high when you're winning, they hurt themselves. It's a long season, and you just have to be ready to handle whatever comes up.
Mm-hmm. What do you who do you like to watch in the league right now? Like, how do you see the league right now? Who are your favorite?
I love watching all of NFL. And all of the stories around the game. I tell people all the time, Steph, I think this is the greatest game in the world. And I love all sports. I really do love all sports, but football is different. And basketball, I watch Wembanyama. That's a bad boy. You watch him get a rebound, dribble all the way to the other side, and then dunk it on the goal. It's called individual isolated success. And you can see that in baseball, slapping home runs, shit in golf, dropping the putt on the 18, all individual isolated success. Mm-hmm. Football is our greatest game because there is no such thing as individual isolated success. And if we look at our lives, whether it's corporations or organizations or our most important entity, family, there's no such thing as individual isolated success. That's what we all gravitate towards. That, the principles of the game in football are the main principles we got to adhere to have a great life, whether it's any one of those corporation organizations or family.
Mm-hmm. There's no question. And the one thing I always talk about this game, because it's what more people need to look at. It's you were talking about earlier about it's everyone wants it to be about plays. It's still about players, and you start with protection and what's the matchups you have. Who's the guy? You're playing the Buffalo. We can't let Bruce Smith take this game over. We're playing 49ers. When Haley was, we can't let whoever the great players are. But then you got to have a plan to get your players involved and let them go out and win the game. And when we played Cleveland, the first game I was a coordinator there, if I could show you the game plan sheet, it's got 88, and it's got a list of 4 or 5 plays. It's got, back then it was Jay, 84, and it's what plays we got for him. Emmett, we knew he was going to carry the ball, but what we had, he caught 6 balls in the game. So that was a starting point. And we had other guys who made plays. Alvin wasn't playing yet, but Kelvin Martin was our third down guy. So when that game was over, I got the play-by-play with it, the stat sheet. You caught 7 or 8 balls. You had over 100 yards. Jay caught 5 or 6. I think he might have caught 7 balls. Emmett had 31 carries, might have had 34, and he had 5 catches. And Emmett, I remember I heard him saying this sometime later. He goes, I ran a go route down the sideline. It was a shoot with a tight end going. Right. And we just missed it it trickled off his fingertips. And he says, and they called a run the very next play. I went back in the huddle. I was tired. And they called a run the very next play. And then obviously the papers reacted. We won the opening game, hadn't won the opening game in quite a while. And the experts said, what are they trying to do? Kill Emmett? He had 31 carries. He had 5 catches. Well, someone asked me that, one of the guys, and I said, wait a minute. When I got here, you said, are you guys going to give the ball to Emmett? I said, yes. What do you think we did? Well, you can't give it to him. And here's my answer to all these guys. Okay, everyone wants the guy to get 25 carries a game. That's what they want, 20 to 25 touches, right? So if you do the math, back then there were 16 games. If he gets 25 carries in every game, he's got 400 carries. If you told everybody Emmett's going to get 400 carries, they say you're going to kill him. So it works out. But that guy's going to, that guy's going to get the ball. You had 91 catches that year. With an 18-yard average. No one does that. It's about players, not plays. And plays are important to get players in the best position to do it, but I think it can go too far sometimes, and pretty soon you got these plays and your top 2 or 3 receivers aren't getting the ball. Someone's getting it who might be a good player, but you know what? When it's all said and done, it's players that win these games.
And Emmett, one thing, Emmett, everybody else would be complaining. Emmett he would tell you he still had more in him because he had his goals set on becoming the all-time leading rusher from the first moment I saw him, So no matter what Noah would give us, we would always come back complaining and say, well, we need more. We need more. The other people are saying, are you working them too much? No, we need you. We need more. It was just such a great time, man. It really was. I remember one year I won receiver of the year. Emmett won running back of the year. And that was maybe our first or second year together. And man, we were so excited to play together and have Norv there. And we were like, man, we were going to do so many great things, man. We're going to set records and win Super Bowls. So it was just so, we were young and just so full of life, full of life. And you asked me, Steph, about the teams that I like watching, the teams that I watch today. Of course, I've always watched the Cowboys. I can't ever stop watching the Cowboys. Right. But Coach, when you were talking about Indy, I look at Indy, look at what Daniel Jones, and now I call him Indiana Jones because it looked like two different dudes now. The Daniel Jones that was in New York and now the Indiana Jones that's with the Colts. Look like a totally different dude. He's in offense. And it reminds me a lot of what we were talking about, Coach. He's an offense that shows his skill set. Let's get the ball out of your hands. Let's turn around and hand it to the guy. Kind of reminds me a little bit of what we were doing. Let's get
no question. No question.
You know what I'm saying? And it changed his whole perspective. It's changed his whole perspective. And people are talking about, should he be an MVP? Because he has those abilities. I just think that's fascinating to watch things like that.
I do too. And the one thing I would caution them, I'd caution anyone, Seattle, whatever, the beauty of Troy was he was satisfied with going into the game and doing what he had to do. And all of a sudden, he didn't need to go next week and throw 5 touchdown passes. He went into the game and said, here's what we're going to do. If it worked out that the Super Bowl, if it worked out you throw 4 touchdown passes, hey, awesome. But you can't try to create this stuff. And I'm rooting for Indy. I'm rooting for Daniel Jones. And I just want him to keep doing, be content, be happy with what you're doing because you're winning. And it's not about how many completions, how many yards, how many this or that. It's about what I do to help our team win. And you don't have to, they had a tough game Sunday. They turned the ball over. They turned it over 6 times. That's not what they've done. And they got to get back to just doing what they need to do to win. It doesn't matter who's talking about you. If they're talking about this is a prolific offense, just go out and win. Everyone's like Coach John Jimmy used to say, hey, guys, you know what? We keep winning. There's enough credit to go around for everybody. Everyone's going to get their share. And he was right because all you got to do is turn on TV and it's all Cowboys doing the games and talking about it. And we know that.
All right. Well, we're going to have to let you go in a minute. And the last question we ask everybody who comes on and is what would you have done if you didn't play football? I know you were born to play football, but what career do you think you would have had if you did not play football?
And I am just a football player, and I'm so glad and so thankful that God gave me the game and then gave me the right people to help me bring out the best parts of me in the game. But I also I love kids. Steph, remember you running around as a little kid, and it's so funny when you tell me about the letters and everything. The one thing I always get to this day, and I'm so thankful to God for it, because I took the time to take pictures with kids all the time. Yeah, buddy. All the time, we're leaving a game and everybody's yelling, Michael, and they're trying to rush you to the car and I see a kid, I would stop. Whoa, I'm going to stop, get that kid a picture. I give him a picture. I get this, I swear, every day of my life. Every day of my life. Some kid saying, you remember this? You came over to me, man. I held this picture. It's 30 years later, and they still have that picture. That's the most incredible thing to me, really. So I believe if I was not playing football, I would be working some kind of way with kids. And because they'll just, there's a pureness there.
Yeah.
Look in the eyes of a baby when he's first born. You don't see any ill will, no intent to harm. No, I'm going to take advantage of you. I'm going to beat you. It's pure love. If the scary thing is, you ever look in the eyes of a baby and then look in the mirror, you know what I'm saying? So yeah, I would gravitate towards that pure innocent love of a kid and try to help kids some way.
All right. Well, thank you so much for joining us. We really appreciate it. It was so good to see you.
It's awesome having you. We just, as we leave here, we'd get a half hour after practice, and the guys have to come back into the team meeting room to watch the tape. And Mike would come in with his gray shorts on, drying himself off with a towel. He'd be the last guy in, but before he was late, and he'd say, "Okay, the wheels are here. The wheels of this machine are here," you would say. And Emmett would go, "Well, the engine's been here for a little while. The engine's been here." And, we'd be shaking our head like, can we get this meeting started?
Always a competition. Always a competition, right?
Yeah, we had such great times, man. Hey, I would be in there that Wednesday coach when coaches putting that game plan in. Like, hey, man, come on now. Let's get my plays in here. Let's go. Let's get them in.
All right.
So, it was great, man. I love you, Coach. I love you, Stephanie.
Thanks so much.
I appreciate you.
Thanks so much. All right, you guys, thank you for listening to The Family Business. Remember to subscribe on YouTube and wherever you listen to your podcasts, and we'll see you next time.